afternoon, everybody. We're here at Pekin High School for a press conference concerning the work of the students at Pekin High School concerning a new website for the Underground Railroad. Usually at these events, I steer away from the purpose of this is to highlight the achievements of the students, the work of the students, but I do feel I do need to make a little bit of a political statement before we get started here. It has come to my attention that a statewide publication will soon be doing a column on the history of the KKK in the state of Illinois. And of course, with that being done, Pekin is going to be mentioned in that. Over the last several years, we have made enormous strides within the community to promote other history of the activities within the city of Pekin and Tazewell County, including the Underground Railroad, including abolitionists that were active living within the area. While we've never promoted and would never promote erasing any form of history, and it is accepted that that is part of the history of the city of Pekin, it is not the full history of the city of Pekin. It does not reflect the attitude or the desires of the individuals living within this community today. And I believe that fantastic work by the students on projects like this demonstrate where we are today as a community and where we desire to go into the future. With that being said, the activity today is this Underground Railroad project website. The state of Illinois has just recently passed last week Senate Bill 1607, which establishes the Illinois Freedom Trails Commission. The purpose of the Illinois Freedom Trails Commission, which has passed the House and the Senate and is now heading to the governor to be signed, is to promote the knowledge, the history of the Underground Railroad throughout the state of Illinois. Part of that is to be encouraging local schools to take a more active role in educating students on that rich history that lies within their communities. My friend contacted me the other day and said they've already done that here at Pekin High School. And this wonderful site just shows how the students of Pekin High School are one step ahead of the state of Illinois and the desire to make this more publicly available. I cannot express enough how thrilled I am continuously with the activities of Pekin High School. This is the third year in a row that the students have created a historic database and made it available for the public. I've had a school project wrapped around the rich history of not only Pekin, but of Tazewell County. And each and every year, the teachers and the students of Pekin High School continuously go above and beyond, shocking us with the terrific, wonderful work that they are able to produce. I want to turn this over now to the teachers to explain and introduce their students and showcase for you the fantastic work that they have accomplished. Thank you.
So each year, Brandon Phillips and I have tried to do a project, and we did Nance Liggins Costley 2 years ago, then Veterans of Tazewell County last year. We had read about the work of John in highlighting and getting the placards done on the Underground Railroad. And so we have future focus days here at Pekin. So Brandon and I reached out to John and said we would love for one of our future focus days to take a group of kids on a tour. And we could only hit 3 of the spots near Tremont in the little 2-hour window. And I was so excited when I got back from all the stuff I had learned on the trip that then the social studies department, all the social studies teachers took the same trip and learned more. Because growing up in Tazewell County, I didn't know that this was part of our history. And as John said, you know, working here at Pekin High School for 28 years, I certainly know that history is lots of gray areas. You take the good, you take the bad, but you know what? Either way, these kids that I've had the pleasure of working with for 28 years certainly don't speak to any of the bad that I've seen. So they continue to bring out the good. They continue to bring out the best of Pekin and of Tazewell County. So we decided to kind of take an adventure once the seniors left and we have more time to ourselves to focus and quiet things down. We decided to kind of do a combination of research, We used Jared Olar and we used Susan Reinerson's extensive knowledge, the research that they've done of the conductors and the slaves that have moved through Tazewell County, and we created this Prezi to make it look kind of like you're walking through a museum. So, do you want to say anything before I show them this?
Just that over these past 3 years, the students has always amazed me with the amount of abilities they have to honor and represent visually, but not just written, using their artistic skills in order to bring history to life.
Okay, so without further ado, this is a little bit of the work that they've done. So again, imagine walking through a museum and learning for the first time about the Underground Railroad. We cite our sources at the end of it and everything. But as you can see, Illinois is right there in the center. And of course, as John explained on the field trip with the students, there were 4 main routes through Illinois. Tazewell County alone saw, they estimate 800 slaves come through on their way to freedom. So a little bit about, so students made things like the graphic on the left, for example. So I'm not gonna read to you guys all the stuff. And then we went through the key routes through Tazewell County. So coming in from the south through Delavan, moving up through Tremont, Morton, they had to kind of skirt around Washington in order to eventually get up to Putnam County. And then, so after our field trip, we had students that did watercolor, and the quilts, through oral history tradition at least, history's kind of still out 100% on the verdict about how quilts were used as coded messages. And so the kids did some watercolors of some quilt squares, and so we took the quilt squares, some of which are over there that you can see later, and we combined them together to make them look like a quilt. We did some research on a timeline. It's kind of hard to decide where to start with this, but we started with the story of the Shipmans being kidnapped down to St. Louis. First anti-abolition group in Tazewell County. You've got the importance of Lincoln's role as a lawyer defending people. Then you've got, of course, the Fugitive Slave Act, which brought in federal marshals. And yet, despite all of that, you have these people actively still moving people through Tazewell County at risk of a $1,000 fine or up to 6 months in jail. They did it for the noble cause that it was. And then the Union League was started here in Pekin, and even Frederick Douglass came, and of course 11 members from Tazewell County served in the 29th Colored Infantry at the end of the Civil War. So we found this 1838 map, the red dots, put in by hand as to the major farms along the way, best guesstimation of where the farms might be for the conductors. And then the kids started doing the research. So again, using the work of Jared Olar and Susan Reinerson, they took on the conductors' stories a little bit. We found some pictures. Findagrave.com is a wonderful resource. Fortunately, it's blocked for the students, but it was still good. The story of the Shipmans, and then moving into the conductors in closer up into Morton and Washington. Well, this is Tremont area still, and then Morton and the Washington folks. And then we moved it into a group of AP Psych kids, all created on the left that impact statement. So they jointly combined their feelings about why it's important to study the Underground Railroad. And then my other AP Psych kids, I gave them a letter that spelled underground, and they had to give me an adjective that they believed best represented the legacy of the Underground Railroad. And then we had some poetry as well, so some creative writing contributions in there. And then we cite our sources. We connected it. John had suggested connecting our previous work on Nance Lincoln's Costly. We had a senior who did a video of the field trip, and so there's that. I don't know how to get past it without it starting, to be honest. It might start. But then here's the list of the contributors as of right now. So that's kind of the idea, to be a living museum digitally preserved. So.
How many students actually contributed to this whole project then, if you guess about it?
All of those.
Like about
All of those
30?
contributed somehow, yeah. So it was, I had 6 classes of kids that had various numbers of juniors in it, and they all had to contribute something to the project. And so they did, and then we had art students who contributed quilt squares to the project as well, so, yeah. So however many names that is, I don't know. They're alphabetically in 2 different groups.
I think one thing I would mention
Go nice
with,
to the mic.
with this project and with previous projects, we've seen not only do the history students get involved, but that wraps in other skills set as well. You have the digital classes that are learning, the computer IT classes that are contributing activities to this. You have the art students that are contributing artwork. You have literature with the poetry students. So this is really multi-curriculum rather than being a singular curriculum project. And when they say that these are their class projects for that year, they really have made it fully class involved and welcoming rather than, again, just one teacher wanting to do an activity. It's really, you wrap in as many people as you can each and every year, and I think that only adds to the richness of these projects year after year. Susan, did you want to say anything as one of the individuals?
Susan was my fact checker.
Sort of. So, this kind of all got started 4 years and 4 months ago when I incidentally ran something in our monthly, and John called me up and said, the Underground Railroad ran through Tazewell County, and I said, well, yeah. And he said, well, we gotta tell people. So for 4 years and 4 months, we've been telling people, and it's like, we love it when younger people take an interest in our local history. A lot of times I learn about local history when somebody just asks me a question, and then I have to research it, and then you find all of this information that has been lost, and we kind of retrieve it and put it back on display. And so we're really excited to have the young people involved now. This is, like you said, the 3rd year. We're delighted to be a source. You know, we've run several series in the last 3 years, but this Underground and the whole thing, the abolitionists and the Underground, and then things that followed, it's just been awesome. I learn a lot, and hopefully everybody else learns a little bit, and we couldn't be happier. And we hope that you're going to pick something next year that we can help you with.
Yeah.
No pressure.
We've got ideas.
Well, again, these are the activities that the Illinois Freedom Commission, that will be newly set up, is going to be looking to replicate in high schools and other schools throughout the state of Illinois. For Pekin to be already a step ahead, already achieving that goal, I really think shows, one, that there is a willingness by the students to want to learn this history, this local history, and 2, not only are they hearing about it, but that they are understanding it and developing projects for all of us to be able to appreciate. The spotlight should be brightly shining on Pekin, and everybody should be acknowledging what terrific works are being accomplished here at this high school. With that, I think I will take this over and leave it with the students to see if any of the students have anything they want to say about what their thoughts were on this project, and then we'll open it up for questions. Give me a minute to move.
Sure. Thanks, John.
You guys are
feel
on.
pressured, but if you
Yeah, is there anyone who wants to speak, or if you want to speak, okay, pull the mic nice and close to yourself, and again, just say your first name again so I can remind me. And,
Yes. Isabella.
okay, nice and close.
Isabella.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. And so, what did you think of your involvement, and what did you learn from this project?
Okay. I have learned that the Underground Railroad is more than just a way to escape slavery. It's a powerful example of courage, teamwork, and the fight for freedom. I think it really shows the risk that those take for others.
And what does it say specifically about being part of Tazewell County's history as well?
I think it gives us more of an example to spread the word and so more people acknowledge what Tazewell County has actually had.
Great, thank you. Anyone else want to add? Yep, go ahead. Again, say your first name again so I can remember who you are.
Angelina Bushart. My contribution to this project was a poem as a stand of a hypothetical conductor of this Underground Railroad. I explored the different psychological factors of these conductors and these slaves, and I took on the factor that these slaves were under such trauma that they had to escape this slavery, and the conductors were having so much stress by this because of the factor of bounty hunters, and bounty hunters were going to hunt these people down for doing this. It was a scary process for both the slaves and the bounty hunters, and the way that this impacts Tazewell County is that it shows that this was the place, this was where it was, and it's just hidden from society that this wasn't the place, it's somewhere else, even though it's right here in your own town.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else wanna add? Yeah, here, we'll move the mic down to the side here and you can. Again, remind me your first name again.
Elaine Lewis.
Okay.
I just want to say I appreciate Ms. Cole's effort to bring awareness to the subject, because I definitely think, as the years go on, that we don't learn enough about it in our history, and I think that the way she, truly cares about it, I really appreciate it, because, I like learning about whether it's my ancestors or history regarding that. I really appreciate the fact that she puts thought into it, and I just think the project itself is very educational. I think it'll do a lot of good, and learning about your town and the actual history behind it, because I had no idea that this was even a thing, so I appreciate the effort she puts into it, and all the other students as well.
What was your level, what did you contribute to the project?
I actually made a poem in there. It's just called the Underground Railroad, so yeah, I wrote that and some facts about it. But
The whole project as a whole though, and seeing everyone come together in it, what does this exemplify for you to see what you're able to do?
for me, I just love seeing everyone coming together and learning about this topic, because it's not something we talk about that much anymore, so I think it's just, I like seeing people coming together and especially young people learning about it. I think it's cool.
Great, thank you, Leah.
Yes.
Anyone else? Yep, you want to pass it on this? Again, remind me your first name.
I'm Ella,
Okay.
and what I contributed was I contributed a quote square in government, and I also helped write the statement as a part for the psych kids. And I think that it's really important to learn about this, because when we forget about history, we often start making mistakes again. And it's very important to relearn history and keep teaching it, because without it, we forget the importance and what it brought and how people came from different areas and the struggles that people had, so we don't do it again, but in a different way.
As Mr. Ackerman said at the beginning, obviously Pekin has had some dark sides in its history, and what does this show about the positive of this area in regard to this situation?
It shows that you kind of have to take the bad with the good. Yes, there's always going to be two sides of everything, but it shows that a lot of people contributed to helping people that were enslaved, and it shows that the help that people contributed changed the way history was, and it's really important to learn about that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? And no one's obligated, so if everyone's good, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Again, your first name?
Alexandria.
Go nice and pull it close to you if you can, as close as you want. Great, go ahead.
Alexandria, and this project, I love history and learning about history, but I had no clue that the Underground Railroad ran through Illinois, and learning about it opened this whole other door, I guess, for me, of a whole other part of Tazewell County history I get to explore, and I get because I researched two of the conductors, the Scotts, and now I can tell people about it, and it just I just get to spread the word and story of it, and it just makes me happy.
Being able to spread that, what do you think the importance is for people to understand about what the Underground Railroad meant here?
It's really important to remember it, and how, and to not repeat it for one thing, and to show how people came together to help make history better and just make the world a better place, and shine a bright light on Tazewell County in Illinois.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? Any of the other students?
Well, thank you all very much, appreciate it.
questions you have, my friend.
I don't have any other questions, but one
Focus.
quick thing too is,
Sure, go.
after taking the trip with John through here, I did say to him, I'm like, you and I need to go into business, because since I've done this, other faculty members have talked about it, but even like my friends, when I was posting pictures on the Facebook, as the kids say, Isabella, the Facebook, my friends were all like, wait a minute, where, and I'm like, I will take you to these places. So just over the weekend, my niece called me, she goes, hey, we went to that John Elmer Jones house, we wanted to see it ourselves, and so I told John, we need to go into business and start taking tours, through Tazewell County together and like, talking about this, because people don't know. And it's helping with the markers that they're putting up, but you still might not know. One of the cool things was, one of the students was researching one of the conductors, and he was looking at the plot map, and he goes, this man's farm was half a mile from where I live. He goes, I live by a station on the Underground Railroad. He's like, that is the coolest thing. He goes, I had no idea. And I would say, it's probably safe to say that so many people don't have any idea. So I don't know how we're gonna, start this tour business going, but, I retired 5 years, John, so we can start this as a side gig. But I think it's great, and even if more kids got the opportunity to go and see where these places are and things like that, I think it's only gonna help continue. Because reading their impact statements, over and over again, the kids pulled from this, that these people who risked their lives because this was a cause that meant more to them, put their whole farm on the line, maybe put their whole family on the line, and said, I am still gonna do this because it's the right thing to do. And that's what these kids picked up on, when there's power and people together. And so the good is going to outweigh the bad, hopefully, more often than not. And it did, in this case, in many ways. And so we gotta keep this history going, gotta keep it alive, and know.
This presentation, that was on the link that was in the announcement, right? Is it?
Yes, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, my friend,
Yeah.
that this will be available for the public off of the Pekin High School website. The Tazewell County Genealogical Society will be taking the link as well and placing it on their website so that it's publicly available. I'm hoping the media shares this so that the public can take the time to flip through this just as we did for you and take a look at all of the amazing history and the rich detailed work that the students have produced here. It really is a shining example of the strength of Tazewell County.
You mentioned too that it's obviously a key part of Tazewell County history, but this is American history. This is such a significant part of our country's path and that time. I mean, what does that say for being a part of something that's so important to the entire country?
Well, that is it. I mean, we brought up the beginning of it when I first learned of this history. It startled me because I love history. I love Civil War history, and didn't have a clue that this was in this area. So students, don't feel bad. I was in the same boat as you. I thought this was an East Coast activity. I thought Harriet Tubman, when that was limited out there, the thought of it being out here in Tazewell County at all, or in the state of Illinois at all, I was shocked by. Something the students heard, we discussed it. To me, it is a shame that a hidden gem in the state of Illinois is that the first integrated school in the United States of America was not on the East Coast. It was in a small town called Otterville, Illinois, and still stands today as a state historic site. Why is that not being celebrated more? That in deep southern Illinois, the first integrated free public school in the United States took place. That is amazing. 1837, 10 years after our county was founded, this integrated free public school was available. That is history that we should all relish, that we should all cherish and realize just how amazing that is so close to us. It's not some distant, far off place that we can't reach. That is something that we can reach, that we can touch, that we can still experience today. These sites provide us that link as well. It's not a distant, far off area. It's right here in our own backyard. I think if I'm gonna try this, we'll see.
No, it's this one again.
I gotta do that one up there. Let's see if I can go back to that map. Let's go. You were better driving
You
than
might
I
have
was.
to go backwards, yeah.
All right.
You might have to go back through it all.
trying to get to that map, because that leads to the question you asked as well. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So, students, where did individuals passing through Tazewell County in Illinois on the Underground Railroad, what states did they come from? Something we mentioned on the tour. Go ahead. Yep, go ahead and name them off.
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Tennessee.
Huh?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yes.
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Arkansas. Arkansas was one of our big ones, yes. Texas. Louisiana. Not Virginia, that was a little bit farther to the east for us, but Alabama was definitely in there. I mean, those are, can you imagine walking that distance? A tidbit that you guys asked that I recently found out about. You asked how long a journey like this would have taken. So, this past weekend I was at a site down in Springfield, along the old stagecoach. And the stagecoach during this time from Springfield to Beardstown was a one-day trip. Today that's a 45-minute drive, but that took you one full day when the weather was right on a stagecoach. If you mathematically calculate that out, the journey from St. Louis to their freedom in Chicago crossing the state in good weather with a fast stagecoach, fast at the time, would have taken them 7 full days. Now, they were not on stagecoach, as you know. They were walking, they were getting a ride in a wagon sometimes, but this journey was much, much broken up. So we're talking a journey just across the state of Illinois that would have taken them 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. This isn't just a simple throwing some things in a backpack and take off. This is a great, great journey, a great trek to hopefully gain your freedoms. Remember, that was never guaranteed. It's always just the hope that they could make it to Canada and freedom. That's an amazing journey, and now you add that was just Illinois. You still have to go through Arkansas, through Tennessee. You were all the way down in Texas. Imagine how long that journey took. That shows us just the commitment of these individuals and the great strength of the individuals that assisted them along the way, providing them with goods to make it possible. Any other questions that you have for us?
I think that's good. It covered a lot of it, so I think I'm good to go.
Perfect.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you again to the students. Yeah.